Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I want to welcome all you to the monthly Port Authority Commission meeting. This time, I'd like everybody to stand. I'm going to ask Commissioner Micah to lead us in a pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, this is in the beginning, good.
At this time, I'd like to introduce our ambassadors that are here, and as I call your name, if you would please stand. Bob Sachs, Mike Gautreaux, and Mac McLeod, Commissioner Emeritus and past CEO, and just all around good guy. Thank you very much. First item is Chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second?
Been moved in second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is approved. Next item is a motion to approve the minutes of our June 3rd, 2026 commission meeting.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Okay, moved in second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the commission discussion item, and Commissioner Von Molkenberg has a discussion about Exploration Tower.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. If you look on your agenda, it says demolition of Exploration Tower, so I'm sure you're all waiting to hear what that's about. Now, right now, and I don't know if Mark is back there, if he wanted to just be ready, just in case we had some questions regarding real estate, I don't know. Currently, Exploration Tower, as you probably know, is being, we're trying to lease it out. And it hasn't been leased for a couple of years. And the rate is about $803,000 a year. So I think that's a big impediment. It's, we're going based on $35 a square foot. If you go out to the broker site, Lytle Breckner, and I don't think that we'll ever get at least at that rate. And one option would be to continue with the status quo. Another option would be to demolish it completely. Or one option that I would be more in favor of is to set a rate, and this is just one option, is to set a rate that's, say, a quarter of that, which would basically cover what it costs to maintain the tower. And put it out to RFP for a couple months and to see what kind of responses we get. The catch would, of course, one of the catches would be that, or one of the conditions would be that there must be a community-related component. And as an example, the public would be allowed to go to the observation deck at the top floor. So, it'd be something that would have to be in somebody's response. And so and if that whole process didn't work, well then, maybe demolishing it would be something that would come before this board. I'm not looking to make any motions today, by the way. And anyway, that was one idea I had. And I know we have a card on this item, and we're going to call Bob Sachs up in a minute. But first, I was talking to Jeff and Bill and John yesterday at yesterday's briefing, and they had some good thoughts, which, John, maybe you could share.
I'll be glad to share. We've had a couple of thoughts on what we can do, and as we've grown here at the port, we've run out of certain spaces here at the Maritime Center, and it certainly could hold some of our office folks. We also, we studied about maybe 6 or 8 weeks ago, moving the IMOC from the north side of the port, moving the sheriff's office that are here based on the port into ET, and they looked at it and were open to the idea, but were opposed to the idea of us having any separate floors that were for our use only, such as the theater area or the top floor. So cohabitation was not an option, so we moved past that. But since then, we've also looked at other options. We may have something with the fire department needing more space, and they would certainly domicile with some of our employees as well. And then our ground transportation, who is operating behind us here, is in an awkward place. We frequently have Uber drivers, bus drivers, vans coming in to get their certifications and all, and they can't find the office. But if you tell them it's in the White Tower in the middle of the port, they'll all find it. So we're thinking about moving them out there too, and using it for our own staff, taking the theater area, turning that more into a learning center, so you could use it for training classes and that sort of thing, so there'd be desks instead of just theater chairs. And then, as you say, keep the top floor for events or anything specific to the public. So that's where we're kind of leaning right now. But renting it is the challenge with a lease is everybody that wants to go in there and do something doesn't have any money, and you don't want to put a tenant in there and have them run out of money in 7 or 8 months, and now you've got a tenant that you have a problem with. So that's been our big challenge with renting it, and the floor plan is conducive for employees. You can block off different floors for different entities, but trying to put any kind of a office in there, just the way the floor plan is laid out, is not really conducive to most businesses. So that's where we are right now. That's what we're leaning toward, is using it for ourselves.
Okay. Very good. What?
John, maybe in the next meeting or two, would you and your staff have some time to maybe explore what you've discussed and see how viable those ideas might be? And
It's very viable, and sure, we'd be glad to put something a little more formal together. But yeah, we're definitely looking at it, and it does make sense to move some folks out there. That, like, ground transportation makes total sense. If we need extra space for the fire department, keep in mind we're part of their domicile. We also have training space in this building that could be used for our staff. So if we have the training facility over at ET, it would make things easier in that respect. So there's a lot of advantages to what I just mentioned. And then we'd still have the public areas for ourselves. If we want to do something for the public or have an event there or whatever, we'd be able to retain those areas under a cohabitation arrangement with other entities.
what would you say is the utilization of this building and occupancy of staff and everything?
Depends how many we put out there and what
No,
units.
in here, in
Oh,
this
in this
building
building? I don't know, Mark. Do you know off the top of your head? Probably.
You don't want to have to expand this building.
We have open space on the second floor, but it's pretty much dedicated to some IT areas that are going to be rearranged at a later date. We've outfitted the first floor where Barry University used to be. Canaveral Fire Rescue uses it for training. We also have a conference room there now that we're using ourselves. We also have been using it for swing space while we replace the windows in the building, so some people have been moving down there. But long-term, we're going to put people on the first floor. That makes sense to be on the first floor. People are in and out of the building a lot, because the door access is right there. So we're still working that one through. But right now, we've been in a flux for the last probably about 3 or 4 months, with the windows being replaced, because every time they come to an area to replace the glass, we have to move all those people somewhere else to work for a week or more, depending on how complicated that area of the project is.
Okay.
So when you do put this all together, I'm interested in the costs as well, which I know will be part of that package, because sometimes I think people don't realize the cost of an unused building can be pretty significant. And you mentioned the 25% is what it costs just to maintain and have it be there. Seeing that and comparing to what it would cost if you guys take it over and use it for your own.
I think the part of that is we can do that, certainly, but you have to look at it then as just another office building that we have at the port. We shouldn't isolate it and say, oh, this office is costing us this much. Well, do we do that for the Maritime Center? No. What's our operating cost here versus there? I mean, we can do all of that, but,
It's more of the cost right now.
Right now,
of an
it's
unused. I mean, so just just kind of showing what that is, because a lot of times you think, oh, it's not that expensive just to have it unused, but it gets very expensive.
It gets expensive, but I'll tell you that when we ran a gift shop on the first floor and we had the exhibits, it was costing us twice as much as it is today. And today's somewhere around $250,000, say, a year, just to keep the building functional, air conditioning, everything else. I don't know if that includes depreciation or not, but it may.
No, it does not.
Okay.
That's
Just pure
insurance,
operating,
power.
insurance, yeah. But when we had it staffed and we had people in there and, we lost more. Because there wasn't enough business volume going through there to justify the people we had in place or the inventory we maintained.
And John, as far as public access, you can isolate that or restrict it to certain floors, correct? Based on
Yes, it's certainly possible to do that. That's why we're disappointed when we were hoping that the IMOC on the north side with the sheriff's local people would move into the building, because that would give us a intermodal maritime agency there, security, public safety right in one location, and the building on the north side would be easier to rent in the open market because it's a normal floor plan. But that didn't work out. We ran that to ground. It didn't work out, so we're looking at Plan B now.
And I'd like to assure the public that we are not tearing Exploration Tower down.
No,
That's not an option to me. I'm not leaving the commission.
not unless a roadway
Building
design
down,
happens to go through it, then we're going to have to consider it.
So I also like to say, I think we have very competent people in this room to come up with a creative solution and use for the building. But the public spent a lot of money on this building, and it's just not going to be coming down. And if you look at our budget and you look at what we've done here at Port Canaveral and what that building stands for, I think we can come up with a use for it.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Van Valkenburg, please clarify or correct if I'm mistaken, but I'd just like to inform the public that the reason that we're having this discussion is because you and I and Micah cannot sit around the lunch table and talk about these things because of sunshine laws.
That's right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is,
Exactly.
it's not an out there
Right,
issue. It's an
right.
important issue, but,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
And that's why I wasn't going to make a motion today of any kind, because we haven't even really discussed
Right.
it. So,
Very good.
Yeah, appreciate that. And then I think, Bob, maybe? if you-
We're going to deviate from the agenda, and Bob Sachs has some comments about this specific
Good morning,
item.
everybody, and happy 4th of July weekend. Hope everybody has a safe holiday. I want to give you the history of the Exploration Tower, how it came about, and what was going to be there prior over many years. And if I am mistaken, please, Mac, come up here and help me. So years ago, that was an empty piece of property just sitting there. And there was a suggestion to build a five-story hotel right at the corner of Flounder and George King, with an amphitheater next to it, with a lake with a string of stores around the lake. And if you want to see what it was going to look like, the actual sign that was over at that corner is sitting on 520 right next to the old Sunrise Diner right now. Anyway, that never materialized. The folks from South Brevard came up here. They wanted to do something to commemorate the 500th anniversary of the founding of Florida by Ponce de Leon. And the port commissioners at the time wanted to do something to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the port, which was going to be the 4th of November of 2013. And lo and behold, the Exploration Tower was built, cost $26 million. The grand opening day was a Saturday, was a gala day here. We had a big parade. We had festivities. We had booths, and the public was invited. It was terrific. And for a number of years, it was open to the public for a fee. And we had 7 stories, and it was, I thought it was a terrific exhibition hall, but unfortunately it began to sink, got rectified, COVID came, and it's been closed for years. So here is my suggestion. I'm going to have a full package available to the new commissioners in December, but I'm looking at a building to be utilized for cruise, travel agents, tourist information, museum restoration, possibly the Brevard Zoo with information about the zoo, Space Coast Office of Tourism, the Orange County Tourism Office, which of course generates a tremendous amount of business over in Orange County. We might be able to help them, they can help us. Rotating travel agents to give information, free to the public to come in, have the theater running travel logs on a regular basis. I think it's a 200-seat theater approximately. And Cocoa Beach Tourist Center move into the building as well. it's gonna cost the port. Port's not gonna make any money. We know the port's not gonna make any money on this building. It was costing us $55,000 a month to keep it open, and that's what we were charging. But we will charge these folks a little bit to help us set up this as a world-class center, and this is the new name, the Port Canaveral Cruise and Travel Center. Thanks, everybody. Have a great holiday.
Thank you, Bob. And Bob, when you come up with your list, besides information about the Brevard Zoo, you might also want to include information, if it exists, about the aquarium that's being considered on the south side.
Yes.
Just an idea.
It was built at a time we shouldn't never have built that. I totally agree. I was no longer the executive director, and Stan Payne decided that that'd be a nice deal. And so we put this thing out there, and they delayed money that we should have put on our wharf to build that building. And I was against that, but, I was no longer in power, so he went ahead with that whole thing. And I think it has, it's a site now that everybody recognizes. When you see this thing on TV, you know exactly where it is, and now we got so many damn boats in the port, it's a very unique indication of what you're looking at. And so I think it has use, and I feel that there's people such as and maybe some of the cruise lines or something like that. I think there's a real opportunity to do something with that building, as we got an opportunity to change the use of it. And so
And Mac, maybe you and Bobby Sachs can work on a presentation or the consideration of what you're talking about.
Be happy to. Sure.
Huh?
We'll work together.
Yeah, okay.
And none of the present commissioners were on the commission when it was built.
Yeah, it was built a long time ago. I'd have to look it up exactly.
They weren't. I've been here the longest, and I was not on here when it was
Well, I
built.
was on there for long before.
That was in between the 16 years that I wasn't here.
It's when
Anyway, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll
Thank
be
you, Mac.
happy to serve on the committee.
Good. Thank you very much, Commissioner, for bringing that discussion item before us. It's a timely matter to consider. Next item on the agenda is the CEO report, Captain Murray.
Good morning. There we go. Whoop, what happened? There you go. Started in the middle. Good morning, everybody. Okay, we'll give a quick update on where we are. We're still running strong. Numbers have been strong on the ships, 771 ship calls through May 31st, 6.3 multi-day passengers. Remember, we used to report less than that in a full year, and we've already done it through May. Seasonal ship changes. We've got an exciting addition coming up here shortly. The Harmony of the Seas will be arriving on August 8th. And it's got a variety of voyage lengths, including an industry-first 2-day sailing. It's coming from dry dock, where they've taken 2 large sections of the ship and added them to their casino. And the vessel will have the largest casino in the Royal Caribbean Fleet. And the concept behind the 2-day sailings is a short cruise on a casino vessel, basically. It'll go down to their island, Coco Cay, and come right back on the weekend. It's going to be sailing on Thursdays and Saturdays on the 2-day, and then it'll do a 5-day after that. Eventually, it's going to rotate into a 5-5-4 rotation, but This will be interesting because they've never turned a ship this size in a 2-day sailing. So this is going to be quite interesting, and there's quite a bit of press out there on the new casino, which is huge, to say the least. Carnival Freedom departs for dry dock on August 18th, returns October 30th. And we also attended the FCCA Annual Platinum Associate Member Advisory Council on June 23rd to 26th. On our cargo update, 506 ship calls, including lay berth, 4 million tons. We had 47 boosters, 104 fairings. Blue Origin had 2 boosters, 2 fairings year to date. We hosted the Manufacturers Association of Central Florida and the Florida Makes for Cargo Operations Tour, showcased our terminals and the new North Cargo Berth 4, and we highlighted infrastructure investments that we continue to make on our cargo aspects here at the port. In government relations, once again, we've been busy. We had Select Florida's Gateways Advisory Council meeting, discussion on foreign trade zones. Port provided an update on FTZ 136 expansion. June 8th to 10th, we had Cruise Line International Association caucus in DC, Washington. It was a 2-day legislative policy conference with leaders across the cruise industry, and this included not the cruise industry people per se, but everybody that touches the cruise industry, from suppliers to warehouses to people selling groceries to travel agents. It was really a very, very broad. CLIA, Cruise Line International Association, is a very broad industry coalition for all those businesses that make money from operating on behalf of the cruise line. So it's not just the cruise lines, it's everybody that supports them, hotels, et cetera. It's a very, very broad organization, trade association. We had numerous legislative meetings with Florida House and Senate members, and we, with our Florida contacts, had some great meetings with our Florida delegation. June 16th, 15-16, we had Association Industries of Florida Summer Policy Retreat. This was over in Sarasota. It's an annual event highlighting election and economic trends in Florida. Many of our candidates who are running for office and current office holders were in attendance. It's a policy-making breakout session on transportation funding. Tom Self represented us well over there, and it was a quite productive meeting in anticipation of the upcoming elections. We also have Florida's for Better Transportation, June 18-19. That was an annual conference of representation for all modes of transportation. Fireside chat with FDOT Secretary Jared Perdue. Discussed annual transportation budget and the federal transportation policy update. On June 22nd, Senator Mayfield, Space Coast EDC Infrastructure Readiness Roundtable discussion. This was primarily to focus on the wastewater facilities at KSC and Titusville and the Space Coast, and we've been invited to participate in these all along, and there may be some movement going forward that's coming from the Space Force. So we're excited that seems to be heading in the right direction. Senator Mayfield's been leading the discussion for the last couple of years to make sure this is going in the right direction. Lastly, on June 25th, we earned our Green Marine certification for the 10th consecutive year. Now I want to spend a minute on this. This is all about drones. And just in a high level, in 2025, we had more than 500 unauthorized drone flights over the port. And, you know, you look at the news, and, you know, this is in the past week, we've had one hit and one near miss of a drone at airports up in the Northeast with the World Cup games there, and the drones are everywhere, and there was a JetBlue strike on 2 days ago. It's a problem. And one of the issues that's been identified, the FAA is supposed to have drafted the rules of engagement for drones. They were given the authority to do that in 2016. They're working on it, but it's still not complete. But even what they're working on does not include seaports or the fact that seaports hold critical infrastructure. And as you know, in the past, we've gone to the state. We've got bills passed in the state that they would give us some authority over drone flights. They were reversed last year when somebody came in and said if it's for commercial purposes, then, you know, critical infrastructure doesn't count. It's really a federal issue controlled by the FAA, and even all the laws that we've had completed in the state of Florida go away if the FAA ever promulgates the regulations. So we've taken this up. We worked very closely with our friends in Jacksonville and said enough is enough. Let's get a bill filed in Washington. And that's what we did. So HR 9229, Seaport Security Act of 2026, was introduced about 2 weeks ago. It's sponsored by Representative Jimmy Petronas, who's from the Pensacola area, And as you recall, he was our chief financial officer, state of Florida, got us the fireboat years ago, and co-sponsored, of course, by Mike Herodopoulos, our local rep. It creates a federal prohibition of unauthorized drone operations over seaports and defines seaports as critical infrastructure for the purposes of drone flights. It enhances safety, security for our infrastructure, vessels, landside operations, users and visitors, and provides civil and criminal penalties for violators. We're starting to get some momentum behind this, co-sponsors from other states. It's a bipartisan bill. You know, the time we spent in Washington, it's crazy. You sit with people and they say, what do you mean seaports don't have any kind of critical infrastructure? How can they not be critical infrastructure? And we're not looking to shoot down drones or anything like that. It's if you're gonna fly a drone over Port Canaveral, you gotta come to us and get authorization. And then if you don't have authorization, we have countermeasure methods where we could take control of that drone and land it in front of the sheriff's office, just for an example. Come get your drone from Sheriff Ivey. So, you know, it's that kind of thing that we want to be able to do, and this legislation will allow us to go down that path. So we're pushing real hard on this. The alternative is the FAA comes to the senses and decides that, yes, seaports are part of critical infrastructure, and they write us into the rules. But at this point in time, we're not in the rules, so we're going our own path. There's two quotes here from Congressman Petronas, Congressman Herodopoulos. And we put out a press release last night with all of the support we have in the state of Florida. And we're working to get that support from other states and, like I say, bipartisan support across the board. And nobody looks at this and says, this is a dumb bill. So far, everybody's saying, why don't we have this already? So it's pretty good, and we're going to continue to pursue it. So if you have any questions, I'm
John,
glad to answer.
what have you been able to do now with drones that come over the port?
Nothing. And the only reason we know they're coming over the port is we have great cooperation with NASA and the Space Force, and they advise us when we have drones in the area because their scope of surveillance covers the seaport. But you look at what we have coming in and out of here. We have nuclear submarines, we've got space components, we've got national security missions for space, that you've got a drone flying over and looking at the rocket from the top down. Who can do that? You know, you shouldn't be able to do that. We've got military operations in the port. The Army's here. We've got cruise ships with, 8,000 or 9,000 passengers on board. We've got LNG operations, a fuel farm on the north side. And there's no protection from, that we have to protect our port from drone risks. And you just pay attention to what's going on in the news over in, the Russia and Ukraine war and what they're doing with drone technologies and even Iran. It's a real risk. It's a real threat. And one of the drones smaller drones, I was reading about the other day, can carry a 40-pound payload. Well, what can you do with a 40-pound payload if you're a bad guy? I don't know, but it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good. So this is a real threat, and it's not just a threat to us, it's a threat to every seaport in the United States, and we're going to push this as hard as we can to get it through.
Does
Washington.
Sheriff Ivey have any means of monitoring the drones? Or?
No.
No?
Nope.
But you guys have already researched, and there is technology out there. You mentioned the
There is tech.
countermeasures, and you're already kind of ready to go when this passes to say, hey, we can implement this.
There's a
and then
lot of
take it
different
down.
countermeasures that can be taken. There's certain measures where you can just take it out, over the channel, just boom, the drone disappears, or you can do what I was suggesting, if we have an unauthorized flight, we bring it down on the ground and say, come get it. But we're not prohibiting drones from flying over the port. If we've got Orlando Sentinel comes in and they want to fly a drone flight just to get a picture, they can get permission to do that under this bill. It's not that it's prohibited without being authorized. And that's the big difference over what we do today. If you just go on YouTube, you're going to find hundreds of videos that were taken of our port that were not authorized by us. There's just people come in, they launch from the beach, they launch from Jetty Park sometimes, and we catch them. We had one a year ago where it turned out to be a Canadian who was international coming through Canada that ended up getting deported out of the country after we arrested him for flying the drone down there. And he had other issues that were problematic, but it just shows you don't know who's flying these things. And we got lucky on that one, and we were able to arrest him, and he was deported from the U.S. But we have a lot going on the Space Coast, a lot that people want to see and understand drones. And, it's a technology that we feel particularly at risk of the bad guys using them for nefarious purposes. But anyway, any questions about the bill? This is going to go on for a little bit, and we can answer any questions and go through any more detail individually or whatever at your convenience. So,
No, thanks for taking the lead on that.
okay, we have summer interns. I'm going to do something that I haven't done before. We have 6 interns, all in the front row, and I'm going to embarrass you now and ask if you would each come up, state your name, what school you're going to, when you're graduating, and what you're going to do at the port this summer. Do you mind doing that? That'd make it easier for me than trying to destroy your names by calling you out. Let's start at the end. I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but I just think it'd be great to introduce yourself, say what school you're at.
John, they're students. They're used to getting up in front of a class of 50,
They don't do
100
that
people
anymore. They
and
do it all on
talk.
their cell phones.
No.
Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Aubrey Sangster. I currently go to North Greenville University in South Carolina, but I'm originally from Orlando. And I'll be graduating in December, so wrapping up one more semester. And I'm with the environmental department here at the port.
Congratulations.
Hi everyone, I'm Sydney Williams. I go to Maine Maritime Academy. I'm expected to graduate in May of 2027, so one more year. And I'm working with the Government and Strategic Communications team here at the port. Hi, my name is Aveda Brown. I'm getting honors in finance at MSU, Michigan State. And I graduate this December, very excited, and I'm working with the Cruise Business Development.
Thanks, Amanda.
Hello, I'm Catherine Jones. I just graduated from Florida State University on May 1st. I'm currently interning for the Records, Archives, and History Department, and I'm happy to be here with you all.
Hello, my name is Ahmad Mazabi. I go to University of Central Florida. I'm studying computer science there, and I'm currently interning with the IT department.
Good morning, I'm Morgan Mitchell. I go to the Merchant Marine Academy in New York where I study logistics and security, and I'm interning with the HR this summer, and I'll be rotating around different departments through the port, so happy to be here.
Very good.
Thanks to all of you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I think it's nicer that everybody gets to see you face to face. Great, thank you. Next, Park Services events update. Jetty Park Campground, 68%. Average daily vehicle, 427. We've been open five of six launches. Day Park has reached capacity on Memorial Day, and the playground and beachside pavilion are now open. If you haven't been out there to see the new pavilion and playground, you should. The park is really looking nice right now, so the upgrades are really noticed. We also supported events, SpaceX IPO party at Fish Lips Friday a few weeks ago when SpaceX went public. They had a little event here at the port for their employees, which was well done and well behaved, I will say. We also had Party in the Park on June 14th, and on June 18th, we had Employee Health and Wellness Day. Community engagement, we had Jetty Park in the Park, June 14th, Playground Pavilion grand opening. We also had Maine Maritime Academy training ship visit on June 24th. The ship was in Fort Lauderdale, and a few of us went down to visit the ship after being invited to attend an open house. We have upcoming community events, July 3rd, fireworks on the lawn. That's coming up in a couple of days. Boys and Girls Club of Brevard, an annual port tour and briefing on July 8th. And we got the KBB Summer Series, July 18th, Parish Park in Titusville. And just another reminder, 3rd of July fireworks. Any questions? All right, well, thank you so much.
John, I did yesterday comment to Bill Crow and his staff. I did have the occasion to go to Jetty Park this weekend. I saw the playground, which is great. No, I didn't partake at the playground, but there was a food truck, and I did have a snow cone from the food truck, so it looked like everybody was having a good time, and it's 110% better than it used to be. You guys did a great job, and people need to be aware that Port Canaveral is, I think, the only port in the state that has any type of a facility park like we have here. We've done a great job.
Thank you.
Or you guys have done a great job. We just give you some money to do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Financial, Jeff Long.
All righty, thank you. Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Beislein and Captain Murray. Before I get into reviewing our May financial results, I just wanted to give a quick update on our fiscal year 27 budget and the work that we've been doing. We're hard at work. We've been having meetings, looking over numbers, scrubbing the numbers, looking at our capital needs over the next few years. So I will be presenting our proposed budget to you at our next commission meeting, August 19th. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on that and a reminder. So now off to the May results, which represents the 8th month of our fiscal year 26. And in summary, I can say that we're right on plan with our financial results. Taking a quick look at the month of May, our revenues. Our operating revenues came in right at $21 million, which was about $500,000 ahead of budget due to increased cruise activity above what we expected for the month. Operating expenses came in a little bit over $15 million, which was above the budgeted expense amount for the month of May, but that was to be expected. We had an adjustment, an amortization of some dredging that we had budgeted for a few months earlier, and that was a catch-up entry. And I'd mentioned that before, that we were expecting to see that, and that definitely hit in the month of May. So the result was that our operating income for the month was $5.8 million, which was a few $100,000 below budget because of that $1 million adjustment that we had for amortization. Taking a look at the 8-month total numbers, operating revenues are almost $169 million, which is about $5 million ahead of budget, driven by increased cruise activity above what we expected. And we're actually 13% or $19 million ahead of where we were this time last year through the 8 months ending May. Operating expenses for the 8 months, just shy of $104 million. We are favorable to budget. We are under budget by about $3.5 million. Much of that is timing, and I think we'll see over the next 4 months some of that come back, and we'll be closer to our full year budget number for expenses. The result, operating income for the 8 months, right at $65 million, which is about 10% ahead of where we were this time last year. Operating revenue, the breakout, no change here. Cruise is about 85% of our total operating revenue between cruise, the regular line for cruise, which would be dockage, wharfage, passengers, et cetera, capital cost recovery charge, and then also our cruise parking. Cargo, obviously very important to the port, represents about 10% of our revenue. And then other revenues like leases outside of cargo, JD Park recreation, and ground transportation, among a few others, represent about 5% of our operating revenues. Taking a quick look at our statistics for the month of May, we moved 755,000 passengers for the month, about 5% higher than where we were this time last year for the month. We had 89 cruise calls. We moved 484,000 tons this May, a little bit below where we were May of last year, but year to date our tonnage is in line with last year, a little bit ahead actually. And we had 64 cargo calls during the month. Taking a look at the 8-month statistics, we've moved 6.3 million passengers already, as Captain Murray mentioned, for the 8 months. That's 7% over what we did this time last year. And just as a reminder, we have a budget of 9 million passenger movements this fiscal year, and we are on track to exceed that, possibly coming in right at 9.1 million. So to put that in perspective, as a reminder, fiscal year 25, we moved 8.6 million passengers. Fiscal year 24, 7.6 million. So we've improved significantly over the last couple of years. We've had 771 cruise calls for the 8 months. We moved 4.1 million tons, slightly ahead of where we were this time last year for the 8 months, and we've had 506 cargo calls. From a cruise line perspective, again, total cruise calls, 771. Royal and Carnival are neck and neck, and represent, the two of those lines represent over half of our calls, followed by Disney, MSC, Norwegian, Celebrity, and Princess, among others. This is a monthly look at our cruise passengers. The first line in blue represents what we did last fiscal year each month. The dotted line represents what our budget is by month for the fiscal year that we're currently in. And then you can see the green line represents what our actual cruise passenger movements have been, and we are right on budget, slightly ahead of budget, but you can see the trend in the graph is just on top of each other. From a cargo perspective, again, revenues a little bit over $16 million. That breaks out between fees, dockage, wharfage, other fees, and then rent that we receive from our cargo partners. Fuel remains our largest commodity that we move here, followed by slag and forest products. So again, very important. All these commodities come into our port and helps the economy, not only in this county, but in all of Central Florida. Other operating revenues, we are slightly ahead of budget, slightly ahead of where we were this time last year. Leases are about $70,000 ahead of budget, coming in at $3.2 million. Recreation, JD Park, we can see the investments paying off. We're actually a little over $100,000 ahead of budget in that regard, on that line item. And miscellaneous, which is mainly ground transportation, is slightly ahead of budget by about $25,000. Taking a quick look at the detail for the month of May from a revenue perspective, the bottom line there, we came in at $21 million, which was, again, about $500,000 ahead of budget due to increased cruise activity that has been strong for us all year, so about 2.8% above budget. Our operating expenses for the month of May totaled $15.2. That was about $881,000 above budget, due mainly to that dredging entry that we did anticipate, and I had told you about. You can see it on the depreciation and amortization line that we were over budget there for the month, but full year we're right in line with expectations. Taking a look at our detail for the 8 months, again, total operating revenues, $168.7 million. If you look at the bottom, we're $5.4 million ahead of our budgeted $163.4, or a little over 3% ahead of budget, driven mainly that favorable variance by our cruise activity above budget. Operating expenses, the detail there, again, $3.5 million favorable. So we through 8 months, we have come in under our budget for expenses. Some of that is timing, much of that is timing, and I think over the next few months, we'll see that favorable variance get smaller as we approach September 30th. After consideration of non-operating revenues and non-operating expenses, our bottom line for the 8 months that goes right back into investments into the port, goes right back into our bond payments, interest payments, et cetera, $63.8 million for the 8 months. So very solid results. One thing I want to do now is dig a little bit deeper in the numbers. It's, each commission meeting I get up here and I just report on what our revenues are, what our expenses are, and I just wanted to let everyone know, as you probably already know, but it's worth saying, how much hard work goes into the revenue numbers, enhancing, maximizing our revenue numbers, and how much hard work goes into managing and containing our operating expenses. So for the 8 months I've mentioned before, we're a little over $100 million in operating expenses. And those expenses don't just happen. We don't just get bills in and pay them. We actively and strategically manage those expenses. And I just wanted to spotlight just one area. There's many areas, but just one area where we and our team and staff, they do a fantastic job of containing the expenses. And the area that I'm going to highlight relates to our electricity expenses and costs. So again, is just a small part of our operating expenses, but a multi-million-dollar line item for us. And to set this up, I just want to say over the last couple of years, Florida Power and Light, they've increased the commercial rates here that we pay by nearly 25%. So already from 24 to 26, we are looking at significantly higher rates. And to give you an idea of what we spend on power, in fiscal year 24, we spent $2.6 million for the full 12 months. So if you applied the rate increases of nearly 25%, you would expect in fiscal year 26 that our power expenses would be well over $3 million, but they are not. Additionally, consider the increased activity that we've had in the last 2 years. Ship days at our terminals, which drives a lot of electrical needs, have increased about 11% over the 2 years. We've moved about 20% more passengers over the last 2 years, on top of these rates that we are facing. So what our team has done, our facilities team, led by our VP of Facility and Optimization, Steve Shelton, what he and his team have done, they've been very proactive in containing these costs. The first thing that they have done is they have switched power, the main usage of power, to overnight rates, which are much cheaper than during the day rates. So the chillers for all the cruise terminals, for example, overnight those chillers are now used to make ice. And during the daytime, the chillers are turned off and that ice melts, and that is what drives the cooling of those terminals. So we basically shift the use of power to overnight cheaper rates rather than the daytime rates. In addition, we have secured utility rebates and incentives from FPL. We've invested in new air handlers, which takes a little bit of the load off of the FPL grid. So that, in turn, FPL gives us incentives and rebates on that. So we aggressively pursue those rebates and incentives. We also have done, over the last 2 years, more strategic approach in scheduling our power needs for our terminals. We've looked closely at the ship days versus non-ship days, and we've scheduled the power accordingly. So because of these three things, where the first of which, using the chillers overnight, and by the way, the Trane building automation system, which is a computer system, it has calculated that we've improved our maximizing of overnight rates from 49% up to 99%, which is proof that we're doing just about everything we can in the overnight hours. Plus the rebates we've gotten, plus more strategic scheduling of power. All those things have led to us being more efficient and helped us reduce by 15% the energy cost per square foot. And that is per FPL statements. You look 2 years ago versus now, our costs are 15% less per square foot across the port. And additionally, not only have we offset the 24.6% rate increase, we actually have reduced our electricity expenses here at the port by 6% for the first 8 months of fiscal year 24 compared to fiscal year 26. We have lower electricity expenses. Keeping in mind the significant rate increases and the increased passenger movement and days that we use the terminals. So what this means is now our full year budget for fiscal year 26 for electricity costs are $2.5 million, not in excess of $3 million. So this is just one example, and there are many others, but I just wanted to highlight one example of what we do that is behind the numbers that you don't necessarily get to see or we don't necessarily spotlight. So again, this is our facilities team led by Steve Shelton that has made these initiatives, and what it does is it protects our margins and it allows us to make more money to invest into other projects here at the port. So I just wanted to mention that. Before I turn it over to questions, I did want to make a special recognition to someone who is retiring from the Canaveral Port Authority. Just last month, we recognized her for her 30 years of dedicated service at Port Canaveral. Pat, we wish you the best in your retirement, and thank you for your hard work and dedication over the last 3 decades at the Canaveral Port Authority. Please join me in giving Pat Poston a round of applause. All right, any questions about the numbers?
Jeff, excuse me, wasn't there another personnel change or promotion or something that you wanted to mention?
Yes, in our department, Elena Fernandez, Elena, if you want to stand, she has recently been promoted to VP of Accounting and Finance for the team. So we're proud of her and excited about her promotion.
Great.
Mr. Chairman, I did have one comment. When you were going through cargo, Jeff,
Yes.
and I looked at the statistics, and forest products, as we call it now,
Yeah.
is down, I think, almost 25%. And my theory is, and I don't know if anybody has another theory, is that post-COVID, there was such a big building boom, and now things have kind of come back more to a reasonable level in terms of building, and for that reason, and then we also have a lot of inventory still stacked out there if you drive by, so maybe that's why we're getting less forest products coming in?
Yeah, I think that's part of it, and also the management of the tariffs that happened last year. It built up inventory, and yeah, that's exactly what's happened. They did a lot of shipping of lumber and forest products to build up that inventory, and that's where we are today. So anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's somewhat an industry regulating itself, and we expect it to return to more normal patterns next year. But this year there was surplus inventory. And of course, with interest rates being higher and housing starts being lower, that impacts the demand for lumber. So you don't want to keep flooding the market with it, and then you drive the price down if you're the guy selling lumber, and then the price goes down and you're not earning your keep on it. So they've slowed everything down. We expect it to pick up again in the first of next year. It's a worldwide trend right now that the lumber manufacturers are dealing with.
Thank you.
And Jeff, we thank you and Steve and your entire staff in diligently monitoring all the finances of the port to continue to make us as an attractive, self-sufficient, financially secure operation, because you do a great job, all of you, everybody in you and your staff.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mr. Chair. There are so many people that are responsible for that happening. We've got a tremendous staff here, and they pay attention to the numbers, and they do everything they can to contribute, and they don't necessarily get to stand up and present the numbers in front of you like I do. So I'm sure that they appreciate those words.
Well, then sometime you can have your entire accounting staff come and stand up and we can recognize them, just like occasionally Bill Crow can have his engineering staff stand. I know their names are always mentioned, but sometimes it's good to put names and faces together so that we know who they are and what all is the good job that they're doing here at the port.
Right. There's no doubt we have a very strong engineering team, accounting and finance team, but there are other departments, outside working operations. There's so many departments, and we have a fantastic team across the organization.
So occasionally highlighting those can be important. Okay. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the accounting information.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the financial memo for May 2026, along with a list of disposals, legal bills, commissioner minor expenses, and the statistical report, aging report, and list of bills.
It's been moved, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Micah. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Vote on the motion. Aye. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is July Capital Projects Report. Bill Crow.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to highlight a few of the items on our agenda. It's a fairly full agenda, as you have seen. and we just have a lot going on. So the projects that I would like to highlight start with item 2F. This is the commercial fishing landside facility. So if you recall, back on June 3rd's commission meeting, you authorized approximately $2.8 million to create the waterside 16-slip system for the Canaveral fishing facility. This month, we're bringing to you the landside facility. So about $2.3 million to create those items that you see listed here. A CMU block office with a restroom, a covered pavilion with fish cleaning station, a series of 18 individual mini storage units, plenty of parking, accessible parking, and then parking for truck and boat trailers as well. The total investment that this represents is $5.2 million in both the water side and the land side. And I apologize, looks like my site plan is a little bit off there, but you can see in the graphic, you can see the parking areas. Just off the page, there is a pavilion, the CMU block building, and then all of the mini storage units. So this is being awarded to Rush Construction, and the current targeted completion date is notwithstanding any unknown permitting timeframes that could elongate, but we will be built by the end of this year, if not early next year, January, February timeframe. Once this project is built, both land side and water side will be able to move over all of the commercial fishing entities that are part of the Canaveral Fishing Alliance into this completed facility.
That's great.
Any questions on that?
So just a little bit more on that. You mentioned moving them over. You're moving them over from a couple different areas in the port. I know we'll maybe talk about that a little bit later. But what I really was curious, wanted to hear more about is the CFA, and talk more about how they're going to own it, they're going to run it, right? I mean, not own it, but they're going to run it, and what their thoughts are. And we've had feedback, and maybe you could share a little bit more on how that works.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Madam Commissioner. We've been working closely with the real estate group who is plugged in with the commercial fishing and the Canaveral Fishing Alliance. And I'll defer to Mark Millicitz or Captain Murray to comment on some of those finer points and details.
Sorry, could you?
Just talk more about how the CFA is actually involved, and they're able to, I say run, but, and it's tied to the real estate, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, they've been involved in the process, but this group has been around for a while, and you know, we started all with Jim Bussey, Seafood Atlantic, and you know, going back to identify who the real commercial fishermen are here, and they set up their own group, the Fishermen's Alliance, and that's who we've been dealing with. And I don't think Joey's here today, but he's been coming to our meetings, Joey Spurley, and he's been leading the discussions on their behalf and meeting with Bill and the rest of the team on the design. And it's been a great exercise, been a learning exercise for us. A lot of things that we didn't know behind the scenes that help our commercial fishermen, fish houses succeed. You know, Seafood Atlantic and Wild Ocean are two different entities because they serve different sectors of the commercial fishing industry. And we learned a lot about what it takes Jim Bussey to operate and the number of fishermen that are out there working on his behalf. And they're not just in Port Canaveral, they're all up and down the East Coast. So it's been a great learning experience, but we've got, you know, this handful of folks here that are in Port Canaveral. And the concept of our operation here is we're gonna design, as you see here, build it, and then there'll be one rent bill from the port going to the Fishermen's Alliance, and they'll manage themselves. And that's the perfect scenario for us, because we're not getting in the middle of it. And if they've got somebody not paying the rent, they deal with their own people. And if there's somebody that wants a berth there that isn't currently assigned, then they can figure out how to work that out. If somebody's not using their berth, and they can give it, you know, it's not going to be our management problem. It'll be theirs, which is what they wanted and what we want.
I think that's the important piece, is they're the stakeholders, and they've been involved from the beginning and will continue to be involved. And
we haven't designed any of this for them. We identified the parcel where the docks could go, and it started on basically the back of a napkin. This is what we would like to have, and how can we get there? So that's where we are today. We're getting there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Captain. And to highlight, Rush Companies is going to be building both landside and waterside. Tony Landry is in the audience if you have any questions after the meeting. So again, our target completion, end of calendar year 2026 rather, beginning of calendar year 2027. Then we'll be able to move all of the Commercial Fishing Alliance members from Blue Points, from Cape Marina, from any other marina where they might be in the port into this facility. So really excited about that.
But most of them are in the water at Cape. They're waterside folks. They're not up in the racks. If they're in the racks, they'll stay in the racks. This is just for the people that had the water berths. They were in the water all the time, and now they have a consolidated area instead of being scattered around the Cape Marina facility.
Thank you. Moving on, we have a few items related to Cruise Terminal number 10. This project is being managed by Veronica Narvaez Lugo on my team, also in the audience. A lot of moving pieces. PCL Construction is the contractor, the CM under a GMP agreement. The first item, 2G, is a more minor item, but it's a distribution power pole that we need to relocate to widen Charles Rowland. $135,000 is the agreement that would be paid, purchase order to Florida Power and Light. Item 2H is our owner's rep services. So these are really an extension of our staff, boots on the ground through Kraus Manning International, KMI. This covers the first 4 months approximately through October. So I will return at the October commission meeting, the October 28th meeting, with an update on item 2H, the owner's rep services, and also an update on item 2J, the PCL full GMP, that guaranteed maximum price to complete the Terminal 10 renovations. Item 2I is with Bermello and Ahimil Partners, our lead architect of record, and it is adding construction phase services for the $1.8 million, some additional design services that were encountered through our discussions with Customs and Border Protection, CBP, and also all of the connections to the new central energy plant. That's going to serve CT8 and CT10 that we discussed and you approved last month. So a few items to highlight here with Cruise Terminal 10. Also, Scott Bakos is with us in the audience from Bermello Ahimil, from BA. In-house, they have prepared a remarkable video that I want to play for you. It is a very difficult, challenging live action video rendering of what CT10 will look like once completed. And I'll do my best to offer narrations throughout the video. But this video, again, was completed in-house by talent at BA in their South Florida offices. And I would ask Scott to stick around because even our media team has some questions for him on how they were able to produce such a great video. So please join us in watching this future rendering. And it does have sound if we could get some volume. This is the new entrance and bus loop. Going inside, you're greeted by monument stairs and 2 escalators. See the new kiosk security check-in. This is a multi-user terminal. As a reminder, MSC, Disney, NCL. That was the new VIP area. This is general seating. The concourse. Short little Costco-sized sample of what the terminal will look like someday. Again, very well-produced video, and we're really excited to see this come to fruition. PCL is also here in the audience with us today, so they are busy getting started, mobilized, and you'll see some demolition activity starting very soon at Cruise Terminal 10. Are there any questions on those 4 line items?
No.
Thank you, Troy, for that changeover. And that concludes my update for today. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is public comment on the consent agenda. There are none. So then we will go into the consent agenda. Starting with Commissioner Craig, do you have any items you want to have pulled?
Yes, can we pull 2D, please?
2D. Okay, Commissioner Markey,
None.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Same as
Okay.
Commissioner Craig, 2D, so.
Michael?
I have none.
Okay. 2D is pulled. So the chair will entertain a motion to approve consent item 1A, 2A, 2B, 2C, 2E, 2F, 2G, 2H, 2I, 2 and 2J, 3A, 4A, 4B, and 5A.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved in second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, those items on the consent agenda have been approved. So, Commissioner Craig, 2B.
Yep, so I have a few questions. Bill, if you don't mind answering.
Absolutely.
Just looking for a little more clarification and some context into the plan now that you've selected Moffett and even expanding further into their role, how you'll work with them, you as in the port will work together with them, what the timeline is, the projects, and just a little bit more. I'll probably have more questions as you kind of expand on that. Because as you mentioned, even the commercial fisherman dock is almost like a phase one
Correct.
of this plan overall, so.
Absolutely. And thank you, Madam Commissioner, for pulling the item. Obviously, there are a lot of public focus on this item, and it's good for us to be able to talk through some of the details of the schedule for the Marina District. First off, I would like to introduce the Moffett Nickel team at the back of the audience, led by Tim Blankenship. Tim will raise his hand. Interestingly enough, I've not worked with Moffett Nickel in a professional capacity here at the port, but Tim and I have known each other for over 20 years. So we met in South Florida back in 2005. Very well-known expert in the industry, all things maritime related, and definitely Marina District design. So really excited to be working with the Moffett Nickel team. Mr. Blankenship also participated in Blue Point's design. So the current existing Blue Points Marina, he and his team were involved in that design. So there's just added expertise, legacy knowledge, institutional knowledge that we'll be able to benefit from. As far as the schedule goes, you are correct. That first step is the Commercial Fishing Alliance, the Canaveral Fishing Facility getting constructed. And we will target that late this year, early next, to move the commercial fishing entities over into it. Phase one of the scope we will be negotiating with Moffett Nickel will be the interim dry stack, the temporary marina, and it will be constructed in the area of the Cape Marina, whose lease is about to expire, I believe, next month, the month of July. And the timing for that will be such that we'll come to you at the August 19th, the very next commission meeting, with a negotiated scope and fee with Moffett Nickel. We will likely engage with one of our continuing contracts to build this temporary dry stack marina. We will have the approximate time frame of late this fall into very early next year to complete the design of that interim marina, and then approximately 6 months to build that interim marina. Again, this is all in the uplands between roughly January of 2027 through June of 2027. This is the current schedule. This schedule is certainly subject to modification as plans develop, as discussions develop, but it has always been our target to break ground on a CT4 in August of 2027. That would allow us to have doors open approximately February, right before spring break of 2029. I know I'm giving you a lot of dates, but they're kind of baked into my head right now at this point. So we will be designing and then constructing that interim marina between now and next summer. The team will then pivot and focus on what would be the permanent redeveloped marina, likely moving and relocating, reconstructing the bulkhead, The scope with Moffett Nickel will cover vessel studies, vessel size, what the market really demands for Port Canaveral. You know, we're very unique because we're highly focused on the offshore fishing community as opposed to vessels that might want to enter and, bay boats that would enter the river. So that gives you a high-level overview of what the schedule is for step 1, which is the commercial fishing, step 2, which is the interim marina, and then step 3 for the design and permitting of the final marina. That is a heavy lift. That's going to take us, a couple of years at least to design, permit, and then start to construct what the final version of the updated marina will be.
So how is Blue Point's management involved? Because there's that dynamic as well, correct? As far as the process.
I can speak on that. We're actually closing today. We had it on our agenda last month that the termination of the Blue Point's lease has been advanced from December to today, actually. We're doing some signing after the meeting. And they will continue on as Blue Point's as an operating entity, but they will be reporting directly to us. They'll be acting on behalf of the Canaveral Port Authority as opposed to their current ownership.
Okay.
So we've worked all of the details out, and pleased to say that from tomorrow onward, we'll be in control of Blue Points directly as the Port Authority. Insurance and everything that we would normally do for any other of our properties will all be on us for the Blue Points property.
Okay, so the reason I ask a lot of these questions is because I think one of the biggest concerns of what I call stakeholders, which is a number of the community, is the disruption in where they are and what's going to happen. Have you considered, maybe a recommendation would be like an FAQ, something that, all these questions that a lot of the community might ask, and maybe all the commissioners can reach out, or we know we've already had some come to us and say, hey, here's a list of the questions. It's going to change, right? So if it's a dynamic document that's somewhere on the website, something like that, then we can get our answers.
Our plan is to definitely do that. And if you have questions that you're getting now and you can start feeding them to us, that would be excellent. Obviously this is not going to be disruption free. There's going to be disruption in any kind of major change like this. And our goal is to minimize it as much as possible and to retain a spot for everybody that currently has a spot out there so that they are, being basically replaced into a different facility. But, we recognize the importance of our marina community. We're going to be honest that, at some point there'll be a bump in the road to get from point A to point B, but FAQ is great. We can do that. And as we know more detail right now, it's still high level, but as we get closer, we'll certainly make sure everyone's aware.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
So Bill, we're gonna have, in 2 weeks, we'll have a completed set of drawings. Is that what you're saying now?
Exactly, yeah, they've already agreed to that here in this meeting. So yes, definitely the pressure is on, but we've thought through this for a while now. Obviously, it's been in planning for even a number of years. And we've had the opportunity at Captain Murray's direction to seek internal and definitely external stakeholder input from the Commercial Fishing Alliance and other stakeholders. So the plan is very cohesive. It is well thought out. It is compressed. Okay, it is an expedited plan to get from point A to point B, and we specialize in road bumps and then smoothing them out in my department. So as we are constructing inactive cruise terminals today, we will be constructing in an active marina moving forward with Blue Point. So we're really excited about the plan. Can't wait to get it kicked off. Thank you, commissioners, for your support of the plan, for authorizing all of these funds. And we're just really excited to get started and get moving forward. And thank you, Commissioner Craig, for the opportunity to discuss this in public. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to follow up on what Commissioner Craig was saying. I'm going to vote for this, but this is as much for Moffett and Nickel team as it is for us. We really have to handle this with special care because I won't be here in a few months, and I know a couple of us, a few of us up here won't be here, so it'll be a new board that will really be dealing with the meat of this. And You know, when you think about the port, the Marina District, the Cove District, and maybe to a certain extent Jetty Park, that's the heart and soul of the People's Port. And, you know, I've gotten a lot of comments from folks out there specifically about like Cape Marina, which has been a fantastic partner for 50 years. I'd love to see them continue and hopefully vie for, you know, whatever opportunities there are going forward. Because I think they really have a good sense of what the community's all about and the pulse of the community. My biggest concern is that we come up with some unbelievable design and then you have an RFP and somebody comes in and says, you know, from South Florida or wherever, says, yeah, I'll pour $50 million into this to make this a success. But how do you pay for that? You're going to raise boat slip fees quite a bit, and the community's not going to be happy about that. So, we had a lot of yellow shirts here for the LNG. I can guarantee you, if we don't handle this pretty carefully, you're going to have double that amount of yellow shirts. I won't be here, but it's not a word of warning. I'm just saying that this is what I hear out there, and you can go to Facebook and you can see quite a bit in terms of comments out there, and that's my concern. So that's it. I'm going to vote for this, but go ahead, John.
If I may comment on that, one of the original concepts that we had was to carve out a section of the property and lease it to a third party, and they would do probably just what you're saying. Hey, we got a great idea. We're going to automate this, bring it in South Florida, Marina, and all that, and we're not doing that now. And it goes back to what do we really want or need within our port, and it's what I always say around here: don't try to be something you're not. And we're not a South Florida marina. We cater to an offshore fishing environment to a large part. We want to continue doing well what we already do well. And the concept moving forward is that we will be building the facility. We will control the rate structures, et cetera, and the operator will operate it on our behalf. So we'll hire an operator, but as far as the cost structure and all of that will be within our control, not a third party.
Okay, well, very good. Well, I won't be here. Maybe I'll come and speak for 3 minutes in the future.
If we raise the rates too much, somebody's going to come after us, right? So
Yeah.
we have to take all that into consideration and not build something that doesn't make sense for our community. We need to build something that supports what we currently support today. And no, we're not going to build, something fantastic for, mega yachts or something else. That's not what we are today, and that's not what we need to be in the future. So that's our goal, is to replicate what we have and improve it to the best of our ability without creating a burden to the community currently using the facilities. And by this new structure of having an operating agreement versus a lease to a third party, we control that. We also control the property. So what it will be, what its design is, and how much we spend on it as well, which you all will be voting on.
So Bill, you've got that FAQ already halfway built now, right? Based on this?
Exactly. I'll go back and watch the
You got
video.
the questions, you got the answers, exactly.
So, and I think it's important that we tell our story too, because I think there is a lot of misinformation out there, as usual with the general public. I've heard all kinds of things from people that we're just going to knock Blue Points down and it's going away, And so as soon as we get that design in 2 weeks, we'll go ahead and put it out there to the public and show them what we're planning on doing. So
we recognize that we have to do that. There's still a lot of gray areas right now that we have to just be cautious. But what I'm saying is what we're planning to do is control this ourselves. And that was one of the real reasons for advancing the Blue Points project to close early, is it allows us to be messaging and not a third party sending the messages. So that will give us a lot more control over the messaging on that particular property, which I know is where a lot of the rumor mills are starting.
Okay. So Commissioner Craig, you want to make a motion on 2B, or 2D, I'm sorry?
Yeah, so I'll move to approve 2D.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's approved.
Thank you.
We have one card for a public comment. Commissioner X, Mac McLeod. I say X, and Commissioner, I'm sure in the future, you will always be welcome to, most of us won't be here, but to be before the commission and speak your mind about things you want the commission to know.
If you've ever been on the top of the tower, you'll probably agree with me that it's a great drone locator location. So think of that. You can put a locator up there. It's amazing how high you really are. So look into that.
Okay, thank you for that information, Mac. And Sheriff Ivy can have a crow's nest up there to track those drones as they come here. Maybe even have a sharpshooter up there, or I don't know, however you get them down. I'm sure.
Great idea.
Yeah. Okay. Next, commissioners' comments. Commissioner Lloyd.
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Markey.
Yes, I had the pleasure of attending a Propeller Club functions hosted by the Harbor Pilots last week, and met some new people, which was always interesting, and including some folks that are going to be running for our soon vacant offices up here. So I'm just reminding the voting public to take whatever opportunity is available to them to meet the candidates and be informed and educated as you cast your vote, as in all cases.
That's good. Commissioner Craig.
Just want to say thanks to Captain Murray, Diane, and the rest of the staff for letting me tag along. You probably saw I was in that picture up in DC. Was actually up there for some other stuff, and I said, hey, when I found out about it, I'd like to continue to educate myself. And I thought it was so well done, and that drone, the drone topic was really important. But again, it was really impressive to see how you guys interact with our legislature, telling the story, helping them understand why our port and other ports are so important, all the different revenue streams, not just cruise, but everything. And again, it was great for me to be able to participate and kind of learn. And so I just want to say thank you for letting me tag along with y'all.
Thank you. Even though some things have been announced, I want to, on behalf of the commissioners, congratulate Bob Musser on winning the Green Marine certification for 10 years. Thank you very much, Bob, for everything you do. And last month I was remiss in not acknowledging that, for the public at our meeting, even though it was publicized out, that Captain John Murray was one of 5 inductees into the International Maritime Hall of Fame for all of his efforts now and in the past, and I'm sure will continue in the future for his work in the maritime industry. Congratulations.
Thank you, Chair.
Captain. That's and then I want to exercise my prerogative as chairman. I thought it was take your daughter to work day. So I brought my daughter with me today so she could, after all the years I've been on the Port Authority, she nor other than my wife has seen. So let me have my daughter stand up. Jennifer, please.
Come on. There we go. Wonderful.
Okay, that concludes. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, August 19th, 2026. And everybody have a safe, happy 4th of July. The meeting's adjourned.
Great.